No two monasteries are alike. In fact, comparing one monastery to the other is like comparing two different people that have extraordinarily distinct personalities. And the reason for this is because monasteries are autonomous. Unlike maybe Dominicans or Franciscans that all follow the same general principles in one province or one community, no matter where they are. They have priories, but they all follow the same practice in a way, how that province or that particular group, whether Capuchins, CFRs, whatever they are. Monasteries are distinct house to house, so that St. Vincent has a very different practice of monasticism than, let's say, St. Anselm's in New Hampshire or Clear Creek in Oklahoma. St. Benedict wrote this very principle in his rule, that it is the abbot and the community who decide how that very rule is to be implemented in their life. And that's rooted in the monk's vow of stability, because unlike Franciscans, Dominicans, Benedictines take a vow of stability, which is to say, I am living the rule as this community lives it, and as this abbot calls us in obedience to live. So I am not subject to what the abbot somewhere else would say, even if he has authority, right? He has more authority as a monk in a sense than I do, but he has no authority over me because I listen only to my abbot, and I listen to this community and how they choose to live out the rule. So what does that mean as far as like monastery relations, or how can one monastery live the rule one way and another the other? Does it seem like it's just kind of based on whims? Well, no. It's based on the charisms of that particular house and how the Holy Spirit chooses to use the rule with those monks for the service of the church. So St. Vincent is different than a lot of, let's say, European monasteries or other monasteries that are a little bit more contemplative in their leaning, because we were founded with an apostolic mission. We were founded with a missionary zeal. Boniface Wimmer, the founder of St. Vincent, who came from Bavaria in 1846, came with the purpose of evangelization to the Germans, the Irish, and people that lived in this part of the country, because he saw that they were just not spiritually fed. And he saw that they needed education, they needed pastors, they needed someone to walk with them. In the past, in Europe and in the medieval times, the people would come and be drawn to the monastery. But St. Vincent kind of flipped the model and instead brought the monastery out to the people. So we continue to live that way here at St. Vincent, which is very different from other communities. There are monasteries that have colleges or have seminaries, but it's not all of them. And some of them really exist very individual in that their work and their labor is really just for their self-sustenance. It is really nothing geared externally. And that's not bad. That's how the Spirit is calling them to support the church. Because just as we might be actively supporting the church in service and in education, we need the contemplatives to support the church in their prayers. The two co-patrons of mission are St. Francis Xavier, who went thousands and thousands of miles to India, to Japan, to China to spread the gospel. He was active. The other co-patron is St. Therese of Lisieux, a contemplative Carmelite who never left her cloister. Her prayer supported mission, just as St. Francis Xavier's work supported mission. So monasteries are autonomous in how they live out the rule because we're different in how we are responding to the Spirit's movement to live out monastic vocation. Monasteries are also autonomous in their governance. So the abbot and the prior or the subprior only have authority here. I don't have to obey monks or abbots from another community. And unlike Franciscans or Dominicans that have like a superior general, we as Benedictines don't have that. We have something called the abbot primate who lives in Rome, but he can't command the monks or Benedictines across the globe to live any particular way or to do any particular thing. He might ask them to maybe implement or to pray about something. But his role really is to kind of be a main point of contact for the Pope for all Benedictines. And he's elected just like, we might elect an ambassador or a president or something. And he was actually the current abbot primate, was just recently elected this summer at I think it was called like the International Congress of Abbots. Our abbot, Archabbot Martin, went there, and the former abbot, the former abbot primate of Benedictines, Abbot Gregory, was from the United States. But now the one that has been elected is from Germany. So it has really nothing to do with who's who, how they live out their monasticism, but they're really just a point of contact. So what's really special and important about that is that God might call a man or it might call a woman to the Benedictine way of life, Benedictine spirituality. But then they also have to discern where he is calling them, because that vow of stability grounds them to a place, grounds them into community, and the autonomy grounds them to living out the rule a particular way. So when I felt called to be a monk, I definitely felt the call here at St. Vincent, but I also checked out some other communities because I thought, well, maybe I feel called to monasticism simply because I'm exposed to it at St. Vincent, but I've never actually seen it other places. So the autonomy of a monastery also means that there's a special richness and a depth of fruit that is there that God might be calling someone even within the vocation to come to a particular place. So just like God might call a man or a woman to marry someone specific, so too, God might call a man or woman to join a specific monastery. So I hope that helped. If you were anything curious about that, if any of that made sense or was helpful, please give us a like and share. If you want to hear more about, what it's like to be a Benedictine monk, check out this podcast episode where I interview the abbot of our community, and he talks about what it's like to be in charge of the largest Benedictine community in the United States, and what it was like to be elected abbot and the responsibilities and the changes in prayer that he's experienced through that. So check out this video. And also, we have a lot of podcast videos that talk about how monasticism can relate to life in the world. So here's one on that. So thank you for joining me. I am Brother Francisco. Have a wonderful day. God bless.